All right, this meeting is being live streamed. Good morning. My name is Christina Dillabo. I'm the Director of Communications for the Desert Southwest Conference. And if you're here, you're watching me, you are in Tuesday Talks. That is a weekly
This meeting is being live
conversation with church communicators. We ask questions, share information about what's coming up. And a new thing will be for churches to be able to pitch their story ideas. That's kind of a new and super exciting component of Tuesday Talks, because there's a lot of really cool things happening in the local church, and I certainly don't always hear about it. I try to subscribe to our church newsletters, but I know I'm not subscribed to every single one. So if your church has a newsletter and you don't see me, see Dillabo at dscumc.org or communications at dscumc.org as a subscriber, please either send me the subscribe link or add me to your distribution list, please. That's one way that we can get local church news, but you can also now pitch it here in Tuesday Talks, tell everybody about what's going on at your church. And if you write a story, we can submit it and get it published on the website, or I can meet with you and I'll work on the story and we'll get it published that way. Either way, if it's a really big community story, we can even get a press release ready to go and sent out to the news media outlets near your church. So it's kind of a big deal. I'm excited to include that in Tuesday Talks, and we'll figure out what's a good way of carving that in. If maybe we'll do it in chat. I've got a story to share so that I know, save time so that you can talk. Or if maybe at some point I'll ask any stories to pitch. Maybe we'll do that. I don't know. We'll figure it out. So for today, the things that we were going to cover is mostly all about annual conference. So I am going to share my screen. Oh no, why can't I share my screen? Sorry, folks, I'm on a different computer and this computer must have the settings different so that it doesn't allow me to share my screen through Zoom right now. So rather than take up time trying to figure that out, I'll just share basically everything that I was going to show you guys is on the conference website. You would go to dscumc.org/AC. If you just go to dscumc.org, you'll find a big green annual conference 22 box. It's actually a button. You can click on that and that will take you to that AC page. It's the annual conference page. Many of you have already visited it many times in preparation for annual conference. And guess what? You get to come right back to that page to get the stuff that you need after annual conference, especially those lay members to annual conference. They're going to be looking for the resources that are going to be posted on that AC page. You as a communicator might want to take advantage of some of this stuff as well. Some things that are going to be posted in there are those things that I listed in the email. The promotional videos that were shown during annual conference. I'm going to share with you the Google Drive where those videos live so that you can download them and you would be able to play them maybe if you want to use it during worship or a small group. If you wanted to use it in a newsletter, depending on what your situation is, you may be able to upload that small video and just have it embedded in there. But if you can't figure out how to use it, let me know, send me an email and I'll work with you on that. So yeah, the promotional videos will be available for download. The annual conference recordings for the plenary day 1, plenary day 2, the worship services, those are already linked and available on that page. The annual conference report. So that is something that you as a communicator might want to use, but it may be something that fulfills the requirements for your lay members to annual conference to report all that happened at annual conference. That report gets written by me and I submit that report to the United Methodist News Service, but churches can go ahead and copy and paste it into your newsletter and there you go. you fulfilled the requirement of sharing what happened at annual conference. But I know for some churches, they prefer to have, I mean, they might publish that report, but some churches also like to have a PowerPoint slide that kind of breaks down that report into bite-sized segments. And then they do a presentation for their church using that PowerPoint. So that'll be coming as well. And I will post that on that same dscumc.org/AC page. If you visit that page now, one of the things that you'll find when you click on the green button, that's the documents and legislation. Let me click on that page myself. And I apologize that I can't share my screen right now. I'm on a different computer that has different privacy settings, so I can't share my screen. If you're looking at that AC page on a computer, instead of
Christina,
yes.
Would you like me to share?
Oh, that would be great, Carla. Thank you. Oh, perfect. Thank you. Okay, so you can see the legislation and AC documents button. That's the one you're going to click on to see if you heard about different resolutions that passed, or all the business, I guess. You would click on that button and you can see there the items that were brought before the body of the annual conference and whether or not they passed or not. I think that's written in there. Is it yeah, oh yeah. And so they all passed, except there was, you can see from the bold green text what was removed from the consent calendar. Everything was approved there. I thought there was one, yeah, there it is. One that was withdrawn, that's under the legislation heading. So if you click on the green text of the name of the resolutions or rule changes and recommendations, that'll open up a document and you can read all the details about what that is. See, those are links. In case you didn't know that, the green text on our website, the light green text is links, clickable items. Okay, so what else? I mentioned about the journal, that, where is that going to be available? We'll include a link on this page, but we also have a shortcut link for the journal. It's dscumc.org/journal. And that's where we post last year's journal, and this year's journal will be there as well as soon as that's ready. Don't hold your breath though, because that is a humongous undertaking. And oh yes, before I move on to the journal, the daily proceedings, those will be available on this page tomorrow. So that's like the minutes, in case you didn't know. What else? So on the journal page, that's where you'll be able to order your printed journal or download a PDF of the journal at no cost. You'd be able to see the previous year's journal to be able to compare, well, what exactly changed here if you wanted something like that. But that's usually not published, maybe somewhere around September or November. So it's not a quick thing. It'll happen down the road. Okay, so I had a couple other items on my list. It was the UMC group tax exempt, oh my goodness, group tax exemption ruling. There, I got it. I've shared information about this before, and I was intending to click on my document to show you here's what goes with it. I'll include what I was going to say in my email back, because I am at a different computer, so I don't have all that stuff with me. But basically what this is all about, if this is the first time you're hearing about it, GCFA has created a web page that's really easy for you to be able to enter in information about your church name. I don't think there's a whole lot more beyond that. Maybe your tax ID number. And I think that might be it. And then you click a button and that creates a PDF document that you can use as your church's documentation of being a nonprofit organization. It also includes a letter from, let's see, I think it's a letter either from the United Methodist Church to the IRS that explains what this group ruling was that made all of our churches a nonprofit organization, kind of a sub-organization of the United Methodist Church. So with those documents, you'll be able to turn those into places like GuideStar that many organizations use to verify that your church is a nonprofit organization. And that's important. Oh, thank you, David. Oh, well, in the chat, David put the link in there, but I can't share my screen. So, so still, you'll have to click on the link, and we'll in the follow-up email that I send. So that's important. Or if you were going to do take advantage of something like Tidely, I think. Do you need that? I don't remember if you need that. Sorry. I'm sorry. I'll get that straightened out. But if your church isn't doing online giving, I can help your church get that set up. Believe it or not, I have helped other churches. David Topping here has helped other churches do that. We had Rob Reinders helping churches do that as well. So there's no lack of support to help your church. If you don't have online giving set up already, we can help get that going for you. The other one was a data security webinar by UMC Support. I'll include the information about that in the follow-up. I'm so sorry I can't go over that right now because I don't have my computer in front of me. So I guess if you have any questions, I'm open to questions now. If you have a story to pitch already about your local church ministries, this would be a great time to raise your hand, put something in chat, and let me know that you've got a story to pitch. Okay, I think we're all good. So start thinking about that, those stories that I can help support. Number one, you're going to be able to submit those stories on our new website design very soon. So you'll also start building a byline if that's something that you're, into, excited about. And it's one way to get the information out through our conference newsletter, but also for us to figure out, wow, is this something that we need to pitch to the press? So you're going to have all sorts of support in that area. Yes, Sherry.
I wanted to bring up, I had a church that has a great story, and I think that they would benefit from a press release and a lot of coverage, but it's a tiny church. I don't know if there's anybody there that can actually write the story, but there's a lot of content that can come out of that. And I think it would help them a lot in their community, but also the fact that they're doing remarkable things. And I think it'd be a great thing to be able to add. So is there someone that can write copy for them? Is there something, what can we do for them?
Thank you. So in that instance where you don't have time or you don't have someone that feels comfortable to write the story, no problem at all. That's where I'll connect with them. I'll interview them. If necessary, I'll head over there, take pictures, or they can send me photos, and I'll write the story for them. That's the way that part would work. So you don't have to be a gifted writer. We'll work together and get that story written.
Thanks, Christina. I'll let them know. They're pretty excited about that happening. When I was there Sunday morning and talking with them, there's just so much there, and I wouldn't want to miss anything because I think it would be a great inspiration for other churches too.
Thank you. And that leads me to another side of things. So it may be something that your church is doing really well right now. Like I just talked to Glade Keniston from
Lakeview.
Yes, thank you. I was thinking Lakeview. I was like, is that correct? They're just still doing an amazing job with their YouTube live stream. They're adding another component where they're doing, they're going to try to start using this app called Amelia. And it's basically an online calendaring app that someone watching the service would be able to request a time with a pastor to connect right then and there or down the road via Zoom, and it automatically schedules time out of that pastor's calendar and creates a Zoom link. It's pretty cool. So something like that isn't something that we would pitch to a news service, but it would definitely be newsworthy for our Desert Southwest Conference news because it shares a story of success and would include components on here's how you can do it. Here's the steps that they did and who you can contact if you want to ask questions about how it worked for them. So if you've got something like that or are looking for a story on something like that, either way, contact me and we can get moving on that. Okay, any other questions or comments?
I had one comment. I wanted to congratulate Mike because I think he was in the ordination service that I attended was that Saturday night. Congratulations, Mike.
Thanks a lot, Jim. Thank you. I had another question on kind of a separate topic. I don't know if this is the right form for it or I should contact you later, but it has to do with presentation of the video that we record from Zoom. Because we would present a PowerPoint and then, but the image of the presenter is a little bitty tiny box. And is there a way to change the size of that box in the recording that goes to YouTube or the Zoom recording?
Oh, okay, gotcha. So kind of and no. The way I go about it through Zoom, it's just a set. I don't think that you can adjust it. Maybe David knows something different. Yeah. But what I do to adjust it is I end up editing the video. I download the presenter view and just the speaker view or the screen share, and I end up creating my own overlay and make the image larger or just manipulate it myself. And then I upload that to YouTube.
Okay.
So sorry.
No, that's good. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead, Jim.
I had a question. The credentials, the Zoom link and so forth that were sent out for conference, we ran into a problem with that because especially for our pastor who wasn't listening when I told him that it would be sent to his DSC UMC email account. And when he finally got on there, he was trying to get the link that I think you had sent out for the Zoom, and it was on the GNTV. So we got that squared away. And I was caught on that for a short time too, until I figured out what was going on.
Yeah, there was so much of a, so this year was the very first year that we switched from webinar to meeting. So even that was another first for us. And that was because there would be a time where we would need to do breakout rooms. So you can't do breakout rooms in webinar. But you also can't import registrations into meetings. You can only do that for webinars. So I had created the webinar and then later found out that we needed to switch it to a meeting, and okay, fine, I don't have anybody registered. But then when I needed to register everyone, I had to switch it back to webinar so that I could import the registrations. And there's a little box that you can uncheck so that it doesn't automatically send an email to all the new registrations with the panelist information, because as a webinar, everybody's imported as a panelist. So I didn't uncheck that little box. I was still working on something else, getting the language finalized, and I didn't realize that I actually had completed it. And so everyone was registered and got the email from Zoom, and it just created all this confusion about, well, where's my passcode? And it says I'm a panelist. Am I supposed to prepare something? So yeah, on top of everything else, there was that little hiccup that created all sorts of stress for everybody, including myself.
Yes.
That was just a really unfortunate mistake, oversight on my part. But I'm so thankful for everybody just kept rolling along with it and asking questions and, this isn't working. Can you give me the right one? Or, whatever got it to them. Okay, thank you. I know it was stressful because everybody wanted to get into annual conference and you can't answer everybody at the same time. So you're trying to get through all the emails that we're going through. But we got there and annual conference.
I know.
That was a relatively minor glitch. I'm sorry. I just wanted to throw that out there for a communications concern.
Yeah. So FYI, this type of stuff is the kind of things that I think are just golden for this type of group, because your church may one day decide, well, we are going to host this big event. We need to, because all of the churches that have a Zoom account through the conference also have a webinar license for up to 500 people. So you could host a webinar. It's important to know the differences between, if you're going to plan on having breakout rooms, you can't do a webinar. It has to be a meeting. if you're going to try to register everyone because they signed up on a form, you got to start out with the webinar. You can't do the meeting, but then you can transfer it to webinar successfully as long as you uncheck that little thing so people don't get that email. The downside to that, also a meeting, you can't schedule reoccurring reminders that'll just send automatically like you can on a webinar. But you can send, you can resend the join information through Zoom in the meeting portal by going through every page of members, just selecting them all, send, next page, select them all, send. So it's a little tedious, but it is possible. Okay, did I miss stuff from chat? Did you have something, David? No, okay. All right. I think that that's it for today.
Could I ask one question? Betty
Yeah.
mentioned about having a group meeting for the annual conference. How did that work, Betty? You got to unmute, Betty.
It worked really well. With the opening, it was, with all of the glitches and stuff that Christina mentioned, it was a little rugged at the beginning. But they set it up through the pastor's computer. So the pastor had to figure out how to do his voting separately, which I said you were supposed to do that anyway, but that's a different story. But it he showed it up on a TV screen so everybody was able to see what was going on, and they all had their own devices for their voting and things like that, and it seemed to go very well. Bev and I peeked in occasionally to see how things were going, and it was running very smoothly once they got started.
The reason I was asking is that I was thinking that since we had several people who were technically challenged, it might be easier to run something like that and have one person in online who is able to help them. Just a thought.
Yeah, well, we had a whole lot of people that were technically challenged, but you know, they helped each other.
Great. Yes, and thank you. I know Sherry's one of the people that was helping me as tech support at annual conference, which I'm so appreciative. I mean, people are pretty nice and willing to help each other if you're sitting at the same table, but occasionally it's something a little more complicated, or it might be something that isn't really a tech issue. It might have been a voting ID issue. And so having those people like Sherry to run over and say, oh, this person needs help with their voter ID, or to be able to guide that person to see that table over there. That's where you need to go. They can help you. That was golden. So thank you so much to Sherry and all the rest of the tech support volunteers. That's all I've got. So thank you, everybody.
Wait,
Oh yeah, go ahead, Sherry.
I'm sorry. First of all, I want to ditto what Jim said. Mike, congratulations. I think I got to watch all of that. That actually was my first ordination service that I'd sat through. I thought it was so beautiful. I nearly cried at the end of it. That was outstanding. But I wanted to let you know that the Communication Commission and Christina, we're here to be a resource for you as you go forward, and everything that you're doing with all of this. Please use Christina's services and all the rest of your support for her. Excuse me. So this is a great thing to tap into with Tuesday Talks, but on top of that, we'll be doing more things going forward. So make sure you're on the email list, make sure that you're a part of everything that we're doing so that we keep you informed and help you in everything that you're doing to be the great success that you certainly are already. Anyway, just wanted to let you know that. Thanks, Christina, for being so terrific too. That was such a great conference, and you are an amazing rock star with everything you do with all that.
Yes, good job.
Thanks, guys. Thank you, everyone. Sorry. Okay, so I guess if there's no more questions or comments, we can wrap up today's Tuesday Talk. Thank you, Betty. I'll see you all next